I've been doing e-commerce work for close to 17 years. I grew up in a performance automotive shop as a fabricator and installer. So I've taken that experience and kind of coupled it with my last 17 years of e-commerce experience to help build out a number of tools in the Shopify platform. Hand it over to Paul.
My name is Paul Engasciato. I'm the Chief Design Officer here at Fyresite. I've been with the company going on 15 years, and I've been involved in just about every facet of the web development process from design, front-end dev, back-end customizations, and third-party integrations. And now my focus is around solution engineering and data migration for large merchants on or looking to move on to the Shopify platform. And Fitment is a big part of that. Pass it to Jeff.
Hi, all. Jeff Turillo here, a partner solutions engineer here at Shopify, supporting agency and tech partnerships. I've spent the last 2 years at Shopify in this role, helping our partners figure out how to best utilize the platform to serve customer needs, whether it's vertical or solution specific. And prior to my time at Shopify, I spent 13 years on the agency side of things, actually helping customers across kind of a multitude of platforms deliver best-in-class commerce experiences, including a good amount in automotive, retailer, manufacturer, and dealer or brand side.
Hey everybody, Matt Eisner here, based in the Boston area. I lead our global alliances team here at Algolia, and my team is focused on multi-technology solutions to deliver difficult use cases exactly like what we're talking about here today. So Sean, let's get into it.
Yep, absolutely. Drop the next slide. So the last 3.5 years, Firesite's been developing an end-to-end automotive suite of solutions for Shopify. A lot of that is centered around vehicle fitment, our data migrations, our warranty registration, a lot of our fulfillment integrations with things like Turn 14, our deferred and accepted core charge program, our complex product builders, a number of our marketing automations that center around the My Garage component, and then a soon-to-be live a B2B quick order view where we can interact with an entire merchant's catalog in a single view. And we're going to primarily dig into the fitment. If we have any Q&A questions around any of those other modules, we're more than happy to answer it. But our vehicle fitment is something it's highly flexible. We've worked in a lot of different verticals with it. Through our demos, Paul's going to work through powersports, or sorry, he's going to work through marine, automotive, some one-to-one scenarios or one-to-manys, and then one of our blue chip merchants that we've recently went live in March with the fitment or fitment upgrade for them, and we're going to kind of talk through each one of those individual scenarios. I'm going to hand it over to Jeff to kind of talk on the Shopify end.
Thanks, Sean. I think automotive really is an interesting industry because people do want to buy parts online, but it's not just a question of, do I like this part? It's also, does it fit my vehicle or my application? And it could be a variety of different attributes or selections in order to make that happen. Year, make, model, basics, right? But then engine, trim, submodel, half year production changes. There can be a lot of complexity here. So it's not so in order to minimize that buyer confusion, we need to surface those selections up front to make them feel confident in the purchase, and at the same time minimize returns on the back end because these tend to be high stakes transactions. If you think about a normal automotive customer, yeah, they might be buying a replacement windshield wiper, and that could be a one-time purchase. But it could also be a modder that has a sequence of transactions. So if you get the high trust purchase done correctly up front and build that trust, they'll keep coming back to you. So your customer acquisition cost goes down and your lifetime value goes up. So it highly, highly relevant and important for this industry. And I think Shopify over the last 4 or 5 years has really built out the platform to support these complex scenarios around automotive. And it's not, we don't have the check marks out of the box like, hey, we do fitment and all that sort of stuff. What we did is we built the primitives. Someone like Sean and the team at Fyresite could actually build out an automotive accelerator or an industry vertical accelerator So things like flexible data models, product and variant, and meta fields that support them to cover these specific custom attributes. Meta objects, right? So then vehicles and applications you can actually store in within Shopify, and support this fitment transaction in the platform. Our API suite has gotten a bit larger, so if we need to do some external validations or talk to a third-party system, we're able to get that data in and out pretty cleanly. And then B2B has been another area where we've started building out the platform even more. So a brand doesn't necessarily need to have separate experiences for their DIY, their dealer, their wholesale channels. They can have them in one consolidated experience, which makes it easy to manage both data and storefront. And then our checkout extensibility. I think that was the big knock in the future, where it was like, okay, we could create that trust in the top of funnel with search and facets. But when we hit checkout, we didn't have the ability to do that extra step of validation that I know Sean and team have kind of built into their accelerator. So it's a really exciting time, as we see kind of some of these legacy merchants that have tried e-commerce or have like high cost of ownership across different legacy platforms, are starting to feel the pain. And accelerator like this Fyresite Parts Intelligence really reduces cost of ownership and makes it easier to serve new features to customers.
And there's one other feature that recently came out is the account customization. We're very excited about that side because it's not gated behind headless. I think that's going to be a really great thing that we can leverage with My Garage and a lot of the customizations that we would want to have, especially in the performance and aftermarket market space. Good job. All right. And so for the next component here, we're going to bring in Paul. He's our chief of design. He's been in Firesite for a very long time. He's also the head of kind of our data modeling at Firesite. And I'll kind of let him, cue through his thought process on how we do our data modeling at Firesite.
Yeah, so before we get into the demos, just want to go over some of the concepts we have around fitment. And this first one here is that one size doesn't fit all. And our experience, no two stores handle fitment exactly alike. Fitment can vary in a lot of different ways. So you can have variance in the actual data model, like the variables that define the fit and the applications, the product sets that they actually utilize them. So you have things like year, make, model, your make engine for engine specific fitment, throw in submodel for trim level fitment, and even horsepower for marine applications. So one rigid schema can't serve them all. And even the relationship between fitment can change too. So you have your one-to-one relationship where one SKU is compatible with one vehicle, or you have the one-to-many relationship where it's one SKU is compatible with multiple vehicle fitments. So a flexible model is needed to handle all that variance. So the next concept is fitment reliability. So how the data is attached to the products matters for reliable results. Attaching separate values directly to products doesn't always work by itself. So in this example here, you see three separate fields with multiple values within them, and when combined freely, produce impossible results like this 2018 Honda F-150. And as far as the data is concerned, it's true because those values exist on the product. So something is needed to tie all those values together. And that is where the fitment as entities concept comes into play. So the idea is one entity equals one valid combination of fitment variables. So you can see the loose attributes get grouped together under one addressable entity. And the idea is every valid combination is modeled on the store. So no impossible combinations can exist. And the entities, they're indexed on their own, like a product or collection. And when you have fitment separate in its own model like this, it unlocks a lot of potential within Shopify. So the final concept is fitment becomes through lines. So not only through lines for those fitment variables, grounding them in reality, but also fitment across your entire store. So you can start attaching fitment entities to products for search and discovery and buyer confidence UI. You can utilize them in smart collections to quickly scaffold fitment-based product groups. You can attach fitment to customers to power a My Garage feature where customers can save their fitment configuration to their account, and even take that a step further with customer segmentation and target marketing for customers running the same platform, for instance, and even attached to articles for fitment-based buyer's guides. So I skipped there. Yeah, so all this is built natively within Shopify, and creating these fitment entities and relationships is very easy. So it's one source of truth for fitment across your entire store. And these fitment through lines, they end up shaping the buyer's journey and reinforce that customer buying confidence through the process. So now we'll get into the live demos. So we have 4 different storefronts we'd like to show you, all backed by our model. The first one is SOA Pistons, a high performance piston manufacturer. We did a couple things here that I think Sean would like to touch on as far as the custom solutions.
Yeah, this smaller catalog, very unique because there is a one-to-many scenario with their SKUs because that piston goes through many platforms. About 400 SKUs, total 700 total entities, but a lot of very unique one-to-many scenarios. It was a full redesign and migration, a custom-built theme that we pulled over from Drupal 7. They were on a very custom kind of setup. This particular fitment system, we use make, model, year, and engine, and the engine itself, because the engine series can change on some submodels. The fitment filtering is on the collection page. We have a buyer's guide that has compatibility in a spec table on each product, as well as a parts interchange. Internal engine is really common to see a parts interchange. And then this is one of our earliest models. It's about 3.5 years ago. And I'll hand over to Paul. We can get a little demo going.
You switch spotlight. Can you see it?
There we go.
All right, you see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so here we are on the SOA Pistons homepage. We have the fitment form down here. It's a stepped form that's powered by our fitment entities. So make, model, year, engine family. I'm going to go ahead and fill it out. So as we fill out these selections, it filters the next one. So only real options exist. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the Chevy Corvette 2007 V8 model. And that takes you to a product listing page where the products are filtered down to match just the compatible ones with the options you chose. You can also notice that a lot of these facets or filters on the sidebar are grayed out and disabled. That's the fitment entities at work again, preventing impossible choices. So clicking into the PDP, I'm going to scroll down
I am so sorry to interrupt you, but apparently not all the attendees can see your screen. So let's give that a second, try and make sure it's working.
Okay. Are you guys seeing it?
Okay, now they do. Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, going down to the buyer's guide here on the PDP, this is the compatible vehicles list Sean mentioned, and this is basically a visual representation of all those fitment entities attached to this particular part. So I'm going to go ahead and find the Chevy Corvette. So there it is, that same vehicle I started with on the home page, now confirmed on the PDP. So the buyer knows that, this is a part that they can buy and will fit their vehicle. So the next demo we'll go through is a different take on this kind of buyer's journey. And Sean, if you want to go back to the next slide.
So I think for now, keep this the screen share simplistic. If you want to go to the next demo, I'll just narrate over it. You want to go to the Corbo USA?
Okay.
Yeah. So the next merchant is Corbo USA, a product I've actually owned for close to 20 years. They have roughly 1,200 SKUs that are fitment related, about 700 different fitment related products. Most of their scenarios are a one-to-one scenario. There is a few edge use cases around bench seats and some obscure models in the mid 70s, but it's a custom-built theme. It was a big commerce to Shopify migration with a full redesign that we worked hand in hand with their rebrand with another agency. Their fitment system is a product specific fitment, which is make, model, and year, and that matches with the part. We have some very complex kitted products with dynamic add-ons. If you want to go and increase the site, after and after minutes, any of the reclining seats have a lot of very cool kitting where we're actually tokenizing all of your selections in the cart. You're able to edit from the cart as well with a custom 360 spinner and a custom gallery per color swatch or per variation. And I'll let Paul kind of take it over on the demo end.
All right, so this mounting brackets UI is basically a part finder. So it has a stepped form with the make your model. So I'll go ahead and run through this. Make your Integra 94 to 2001. And it uses those values to match the product in the backend and pull up those options. So I have these different product options here for the variants and can simply add to cart from there. So you can see it added the correct product based on my selection here. So this is hooked up to hundreds of different SKUs and condenses them into one fitment back solution here for a quick cart addition. So that is that particular buyer journey. The next one I want to show is Deep Blue Yacht Supply. Sean, if you wanted to.
Yep. Deep Blue Yacht Supply came to us. They had an internal web dev team. They were moving away from Ecommerce into Shopify. There was a one-to-one migration. They had a lot of questions. We did a lot of training with their internal team to help get them set up on Shopify. And they came to us with they needed to replace their current prop fitment, their prop propeller fitment, and their propeller matching system. It has some unique outputs. It's a custom multi-step form. There's 4 different data model types, which is outboard, stern drive, inboard, with the ski and wake. And then it outputs to a unique output format outside of a standard collection, which Paul will demo. And then we also have a part number interchange as well. If someone wants to put a part number in, they will give an interchange for that direct replacement with the specific material type in the left and right hand, and then the blade type. And then Paul will kind of step through how we handle kind of the different drill downs for each data model.
Yeah, so this is the prop finder form here, and as Sean mentioned, it's attached to 4 different fitment models. So we have our outboard with manufacturer horsepower model, stern drive, manufacturer drive type and model. Inboard is a special case that would redirect me to a form, so I'm going to skip that one. Ski and wake has a different one as well, so model transmission on top. So I'm going to go ahead and run through the outboard flow here to Evinrude. 300 horsepower. Let's do that. And we'll do the G2 here. And you can see that you get a match count based on those selections, and you can even filter further by product options. So I'll go stainless, left hand, 3-blade, 15 pitch, condenses it down to 2 propellers. So I'll hit the view propellers here, and you're taken to a filter down or pre-filtered down product listing page with those products here, and can go into there and get your compatible hub kit attached as well. So that is the buyer's journey there for the Deep Blue Yacht Supply there, the marine implementation. The next one we're going to want to go over is diesel power products. So I'll turn it over to Sean for a little background.
Yep. Good. So Diesel Power Products came to us. They were partially migrated to Shopify. We took over the project in January. We did a complete replacement of their fitment. Search and discovery is powered by the Algolia Elevate plan. There's some very specific fitment-driven features around smart collections. We have a My Garage with the ability to segment customers based on a fitment group. So it's called a 2004.5 to 2006 Duramax. We can create customer segments based on that stored fitment for marketing campaigns, and we have a number of things that instill buyer confidence and a number of checks around the cart and we have checks within the product itself. So there's buyer commerce being instilled at every step of the way, going through that year, make, model. We also index all of our fitment within Algolia within our indexes. So Paul's going to walk through 3 different buyer journeys. The first one is going to be through year, make, model. The next one's going to be getting to the same part through search, and then the third one is going to be through our AI assisted chat. Be able to get that same product, confirm fitment, and then get it into a cart session for checkout. We also have a deferred core charge program. So we are able to create a core and store a card for up to 30 days for someone to, like, for instance, if someone purchases a transmission, transmission has a $2,500 core, so that client can defer that charge to make it palpable to purchase. And then we will build that card based on a number of criteria on the back end if that core is not received or that core is received partially damaged or something along those lines.
All right, I'll take it away. So the first buyer's journey I'll go through is using this fitment form here in the header. Go ahead and choose a Chevrolet. We'll go 2010 Duramax here and shop. So that buyer confidence and UI is starting from here and follows you throughout the buying process. You can see that your fitment configuration is saved. So it leads you to a sub-collection page for all the different product types that are already pre-filtered to match that collection or that fitment type. So I'll go to exhausts now. And again, more buyer's confidence along the way. You have the UI showing that your product list is filtered. Also in the quick shop area, you have the banner that it shows it fits your vehicle. If we go into the product here, you have that same verification. And there's also a final check in the cart. So I've preceded the cart with a part for a Ford, a completely different build. So I'm going to add this to cart real quick and show that. So that's that part. I'm going to the cart now. And you can see along the top, it's flagging that Ford part that doesn't fit my current selected configuration. So it'll actually loop through every cart line item and confirm it against your fitment and log any that, or list them out, any that don't fit. So that is the first buyer's journey. I'm going to clear the fitment here and going to search up here. So 2010 Duramax FE exhaust. So with no fitment chosen, just by those keywords, I was able to get that same product, the first result here on the listing. So from there, I can keep going and add that to cart from that flow. And the final one I want to show here is the live chat here. So this store had this live chat integration already part of the store when we took over, and we were able to integrate our own custom agent that is backed by the Algolia API and also the Shopify MCP to be able to create orders and checkouts and just get general information about the store. So I'm going to start the chat here. I'm going to check fitment. It's asking me for my information. So let's go 2010 Chevy Duramax. Then we'll go grab this SKU real quick. So this is actually hitting the Algolia endpoint where we have our fitment index to cross-check this to get the result. So it says, yes, it fits. So I have that confirmation there, and it's offering to add it to cart. So I'm going to go ahead and ask for that. So this is the part that's hitting the Shopify storefront MCP to be able to pick the product options here. So there's 3 different variants. I'm going to go ahead with the 7-inch black tip. So It's also attached to the customer MCP in Shopify, so customers can actually put in their order numbers and check order statuses through this chat as well. So there's that checkout link. Go ahead and hit that, and I'm taken to the checkout without really having to navigate away anywhere. So that's kind of the power of the AI chat with the storefront and Algolia APIs attached.
And I want to riff on that. You're able to add product to cart with very loose constraints as well. You could have said 2010 Duramax with an AFE exhaust system, and it would have found the part the same way as the part number. Where our index has a lot of attributes that we have in the index, and we can be flexible in that data model depending on how your customers are interacting with your data.
Are you able to pull the slideshow back up?
I will pull back up. Give me just a moment here. All right. And there's a couple things we wanted to touch on the diesel power side. This was because this was a Fitment takeover. It's a great use of statistics that are there. We replaced an existing system back in the middle of March. We've seen an uplift in conversion from 0.9 to 1.6 to 1.7, depending on the day. So a significant uplift on conversion. The numbers don't lie. And we've also seen, obviously, we've seen a major uptick in overall core charges. Core charges go through a return system. I'd distilled that data out. Depending on the week, we've seen a return rate drop, a few returns of 15 to 20% across the board. And when you have a high average order value, that means there's more money staying in the boat, and that from both sides, you're instilling that customer confidence. But you're, in the end of the day, having that higher conversion rate leads to higher revenue, and that consistency, especially in that performance and aftermarket space, having that positive buying experience the first time leads to 1, 2, 3, 10 potential orders. We went through some customer segmentation, and you see some customers that have spent over 6 figures on parts, right? So it's something that it can be very significant for the overall customer life cycle. Paul, do you have anything else on your end? I don't want to cut you off.
There's one more slide there.
Mhm. All right.
Yeah, so this is just going over those 3 different buyers' journeys. So we had the 3 different paths to the same checkout, same product, same fitment check, 3 different journeys, and going from 8 clicks on that typical standard flow all the way to down to potentially 1 click without navigating away through the chat. So very powerful there. And so now we've seen 4 different storefronts, multiple buyers' journeys, and they're all built on Shopify and can be maintained right in the admin. So yeah, now I think we'll move on to the implementation behind the scenes there.
Absolutely. Great demo, Paul. Live demos are always nerve-wracking. We appreciate the time there.
Demo gods are on my side today.
The demo gods were on your side. Go buy a lotto ticket. And now we're gonna move into implementation. I'll talk a little bit here, and I'm gonna pass it over to Matt from the Algolia team. So we work a little bit differently than a standard agency. We like to work through initial introductions. We want to vet each other. We want to talk about our experience. I love to talk cars. I love to talk automotive. We are highly ingrained in this vertical. We like to go very in depth in our discovery process. We like to measure 4 times and cut once, especially with our data modeling. We always offer the ability for us to scaffold your data and a sample of fitment data in a proof of concept. I think that instills confidence on both sides. It shows we understand your data, we understand how to handle your data, and how your customers are going to digest that data. So that's part of any of our agreements. We'll have something kind of after hours. That's all included. That is a on the house kind of charge. We're not going to bill for that. That's to help build our long-term relationship going forward. Our discovery proof of concept leads directly into our complex scoping. We do value-based pricing. We make sure that we're not doing a time material. We do these builds day in and day out. We want to make sure that when we get to that final scoping and that final price, you're paying the dollar amount on that scope. We are not going to change order you. We're not going to T&M you. We want to make sure that we're building a long-standing relationship. We just recently rebuilt a site for our first customer. right, from 17 years ago. So I think that speaks volumes for how much we care about building these long-term relationships. We will go into some very in-depth modeling. Paul leads on that data side. We have an expert for each component of these automotive projects around integrations, around the Algolia integration itself. And once we go live with the project, we move into continuous improvement, and that's where we want to bring in the Algolia team to help maybe potentially move some of these larger merchants into a managed plan, and really have Algolia show the headroom of what we can do once we start collecting data from that live store. Matt, I'll pass it over to you. We'll chat a little bit on your experience on Algolia.
Thanks, Sean. I'm excited that we're bringing this solution to market because hopefully this year I can finally make it to SEMA with you all in November. I think that should be the goal of this entire group.
Yep, I'll be there.
But for those who don't know Algolia, we've been around for about 10 years solving search and discovery problems. We have about 17,000 customers across the globe. More than 1,600 of those customers are within the Shopify ecosystem. And as Algolia, we love working with very specialized partners like Fyresite because they bring unique solutions to the market. And when I introduced myself earlier, the major role of my team here at Algolia is to develop multi-technology solutions to solve unique use cases. And auto and fitment is exactly that. One of the things that I'll talk about on the next slide is how you can grow with Algolia. These use cases tend to start pretty small, but over time they do grow. Back one, sorry, Sean. We have usage-based pricing, so you can grow with the platform. There's no surprises with overages. And then many of the customers in this category, they start with a fitment use case, but they quickly grow beyond that. And when I think about auto fitment parts, there's a lot of content that surrounds these parts, how to install them, how to use them, how to maintain them. In Algolia language, we tend to call that federated search, and Algolia is one of the only search platforms that can bring back all of that information in a single view. So really unique, really powerful solution in this spot. Now let's jump ahead. So this is not a commercial discussion, but the point here is that many of our customers start with a pay-as-you-go plan, meaning literally sign up for Algolia, get your application, swipe your credit card, and off you go. Some of those customers move into a Grow, which is a committed plan, and then eventually over to Elevate. It depends on what features you need, where your data needs to be stored. The point here is that there's flexibility within the Algolia commercial model to start small and eventually grow to something significant. We have more than 100 brands in this auto fitment category. And I put a couple of the very large ones over there on the left with Copart, the largest auction house for distressed auto inventory. Stellantis is another very large enterprise customer. And then we have very small, interesting niche customers over on the right with Club Car and Rack Attack, very specialized products, smaller catalogs, and then everything in the middle there with Real Truck and Rough Country. That's it from the Algolia side. Sean, there was a question in the chat. It might make sense to answer it right now.
Yep.
Do they need to change their search platform to use your solution?
Currently, we can be flexible on that end. We recommend Algolia out of the box because it natively integrates with our systems. It gives us a lot of flexibility. We found that on the pay-as-you-go plan, the monthly cost can be very reasonable if you are a smaller merchant. But out of the box, we would normally recommend it. We can do search and discovery, but search and discovery has a lot of limitations currently with filtering and some of the limitations on the collection side. But out of the box, we're going to recommend Algolia wherever necessary. But if they want to have a conversation with us, we can always talk about what maybe a stopgap solution would look like to eventually get it over to Algolia. Because as you can see, the live chat and some of the extra bells and whistles you get for those, and then that new chapter in commerce, it's powered between both of our systems. And I will just iterate. We've had nothing but a extremely positive experience with the rollout of the Elevate plan with diesel power products. We're working with Justin on the technical team. He has done a fantastic job to continue to build and help us iterate on that search process, especially on the neural search and some of the dynamic re-ranking and some of the things that we've seen already move the needle for that particular.
Yeah, Sean, let me build on that for a second. So, as these brands move from a pay-as-you-go plan all the way over to Elevate, really success in these complex use cases, it requires three things. Algolia to lean in as search subject matter expert, somebody like Fyresite who's really skilled building accelerators like this in the category, and then the customer engineering team itself. And as you move from left to right on this slide up to Elevate, we have all the resources available to our customers that you need. We have a dedicated customer success team, dedicated technical management team, dedicated professional services team. And it's really three legs to that stool, Sean, that I think makes customers successful in this spot. It's one part Fyresite, one part Shopify, one part Algolia professional services, and one part customer. I guess that's a four-legged stool.
Well, so and on the customer, it even kind of fractures a little bit there as well. It's really, especially in these larger parts warehouses that we work with, where they're working with 20 or more brands. It's understanding the merchandisers. These merchandisers understand the catalog and the attributes and fitment records, and they understand things better than anyone else does. And being able to empower those teams to work within the dashboard and make some of those connections, one-way synonyms, two-way synonyms, especially in diesel, right? It's a Chevy versus Chevrolet versus a GMC versus a Duramax. In that platform, that's all the same actual fitment for an engine part, like just like that exhaust kit. But empowering that merchandising team in the dashboard where it's not just the dev team working in it. Yes, we're doing the heavy lift with connecting the correct things on the Algolia side, but getting that dashboard experience where the merchandisers can get their hands dirty a bit and use that technical prowess and understanding of the products. I think that's where you really start to see the magic happen and those conversions increase, average order value increase. And I think that's where it's that multi-pronged approach where we're really seeing that success.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Sean, before we flip the page here to all the questions, I see another question in the chat here that relates to Algolia. And the question is, have you guys seen specific use cases for tires where you can have thousands of different SKUs fitting a specific vehicle? On the Algolia side, yes, we have 3 or 4 customers that are in the tire space specifically. But Sean, you might want to talk about how your solution solves that.
Yes, we are working through some solutioning on a couple different options for handling tires specifically, starting with the width, aspect ratio, rim size, and then fitment fitment records on for each vehicle type. My family does co-own a tire shop. Unfortunately, I had to work a couple summers there, busting tires and doing mounting and balancing and that kind of thing. I do understand a lot of the nuance. One of our other clients we're currently working with is a big aftermarket brake manufacturer, where a lot of the nuance of wheel and tire fitment composed with the brake upgrades. There's a lot of nuance in that space. But yes, we definitely have some solutions there, and I'd love to chat out. If you want to book a time with me, I'd love to chat out. Kind of what you're looking on wheel and tire. But we can definitely serve that model, and we can have multiple fitment models, not just year make model, or year make model submodel, but also tire specific, which is going to be your width, aspect ratio, and rim size. So your buyers can search multiple ways, especially if you're price matching. I think there's a lot of commonality now where, like, for instance, my 2500 has a KO3 295 75 aspect ratio on 18-inch rim. Right. I might go price shop that, because if I'm buying 4 of them, the wife will be happier if I save $150 out of the 2500 it's going to cost to get them mounted and balanced. But yeah, we can definitely work through a lot of those complex use cases as well. And then
Sean, every time we chat, I'm amazed at your depth of knowledge from your subject matter expertise having been in the industry. Amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I credit my dad. My dad put me in the shop starting at 10 years old. And I've always been a sponge for it. And is there any other questions we can probably, is fitment worth it if you have a small catalog? I'll just field this question here while we have kind of the roundtable. Absolutely. Instilling buyer confidence, people, and as someone who lived in Silicon Valley and my family owned a Ford shop in the early 2000s, e-commerce hurt shops really badly back then. Fitment is a big component, especially if you have a third-party installer installing the part and that part does not fit the vehicle. You're out the mechanic time, you're out the diagnostic, and then let alone the return cycle. And if something's been installed, then we have a return issue as well. So having that confirmed fitment is so important to instill that buyer confidence in your brand, let alone in that person ordering parts ever again, right? Someone orders expensive part and it doesn't fit right, and they're out 2,500 for the mechanic, let alone the return process. They may not purchase aftermarket things for their vehicle ever again. So it's always making sure of like any way that you can instill that confidence, let alone in your product, but in their confidence to buy as a user in general or a customer in general. I think it's really important. And then same attendee, is there a minimum number of items recommended for Fitment worth it? I would say a couple hundred products, right? I think anything over 250 products, they would be an information overload for an end user. I think Fitment, really works there. If you only have 10 SKUs and they're fitting, very specific product, very specific vehicle applications like a Jeep or something along those lines, then yeah, keep it at the collection level, right? Allow them to kind of drill through some of the vehicle groups or fitment groups and get to that end product. But I do think anything over 250 SKUs definitely validates the fitment conversation. And do we have any other? Let me go. Sorry, might as well just go through some of the live Q&A here. I'm gonna go ahead and change slides. And then we'll answer Dave K's question. How is the manufacturer data uploaded to the system? How is UI created that supports specific fitment needs? Is that all customers or plug and play? Paul, do you want to kind of field that question? Some of it is plug and play. We have our own AI assisted data migration tools to help normalize that data, but I'll let Paul.
Yeah, if we're talking like aces and pies, things like that, a lot of the vehicle like specific specs will get attached to the product, and then we'll index all those different fitment scenarios and attach them to the product as the way I described earlier. So all of that does live in Shopify and is managed within the admin panel there. And we also index that through Algolia for that quick search on the front end. So hopefully that answers your question.
And then I will I'm gonna go ahead and field Andrew N's question as well. How do you handle fitment confidence on modified vehicles where your make model alone is not enough? So there's a couple different ways we can approach this, right? We can approach it with having an additional flag for modified vehicles, or we can move into more of a faceting conversation, right? So if you have, let's say, 67 Camaro, we can list. We can have faceting based on common engine types that you find in that vehicle, right? You'd find a traditional 350. You could find a 383 stroke for a modified motor. Or you do 502, right? And then have your faceting more at the collection level to show products that are specific for that engine family, or LS series, right? Same kind of thing. Like really common to see LS1, LS2, LS3 in that particular 67, 69 Camaro fitment group. But I think having some ability to facet more at the collection level instead of polluting that year make model selector, right? If we have 8 layers of delineation in those drop downs, I think it's a little bit corrosive to that end user. Whereas keep a traditional year make model and then moving things like this came up in a recent conversation around Corvettes, right? There's specific models of Corvettes like a pace car that's going to come with some very unique, especially body related components. Let's move that to a facet where you can filter by pace car, but maybe not have pace car as an additional option in that year make model scenario. All right, and I think that's our last Q&A question.
Sean, I see some in the chat, if you don't mind answering those too.
No,
First one is, can a vehicle-specific landing page be indexed?
Yes, it can. Paul, do you want to field that question?
If you're talking about like the fitment combination and just have it like accessible online, yeah, you can definitely do that. We have all of our the fitment entities there. You can have a status on them of drafted or true, and then you can also enable a publicly accessible link if you do need to send that off to somebody or have it accessible on the internet, if that's what you're referring to.
And Taylor, what was the next question?
What's the fastest win a merchant can achieve when they improve their fitment experience?
Say it one more time.
What's the fastest win a merchant can achieve when they improve their fitment experience?
Conversion rate, rate of return, right? Conversion rate is going to be the biggest thing. If you don't have confidence to put a $1,100 or $1,800 part in your cart, and your wife's going to get this, happened to me personally, and she sees the credit card charge come through, and you don't have confidence in that purchase, you're going to catch it on both ends for the end customer. But for the merchant themselves, it's going to be conversion rate. And then that rate of return, those are first things we're going to look at. Conversion rate is going to normally have an instant bump there, but over a 90-day rolling period, you're going to see returns fall as well because the correct part was sent the first time. And I think that the human element is so expensive these days to pick up the phone, to work through an hour-long return. It's already a negative experience, so that can also hurt your future growth with that potential customer as well for repurchases or ancillary purchases of additional items to support that initial buy. I think there's a lot to that, but conversion rate number one, but then that 90 days is you're definitely gonna see a reduce in returns, and then average order value will usually climb over time, right?
Okay, and it looks like we have one last question. Where do you see fitment technology evolving in the next few years?
So I think the catalogs need to catch up, right? We have a couple clients that we're currently migrating now that still have like the PDF traditional like peel and stick catalog that you can cruise through. The data modeling, there's a lot of merchants that are on proprietary systems. We have a client who's on AS400, right? That still uses they're still powering their site through AS400. We're helping them with their migration. But there is a lot of tech that needs to catch up. Once it does catch up, I think that, moving to the AI chat, moving to a conversational purchasing process where you're interacting with the Shopify store, but you're interacting more on the AI layer, or going through a sales process in the chat on diesel powered products. You can also go to a live person as well. So you have the ability to pass that conversation to a live person that knows these products better than anyone. But I think more conversational and recommending products that way. The other step in fitment is something that we have on diesel powered products, being able to segment marketing campaigns based on fitment. The next step in that is we're working on some predictive purchasing, right? So I had a fourth gen 400 for a long time. First modification you're making that vehicle is probably going to be a 2-inch leveling kit. Well, after that, most likely your girlfriend or wife or partner is not going to be able to get in the vehicle, so they're going to look at a set of side steps. The next modification in that line is going to be a set of high clearance bumpers, followed by lights, right? We can have some predictability there, but by being able to segment based on those buying groups but based on that fitment group, then we can start recommending products via email campaign or text campaign that's going to be the next purchase for them. And I think recommending the best product, right? It's not just a product we have on the shelf. These are curated lists. And I think that's where Algolia can help on that recommendation side as well. And we're working to power some of that on our end as well. And using some of that click intent, using that conversion data combined with what's going on with that individual customer, and coupling all that together. That's the future of buying, right? It's making recommendations, but making the best ones on behalf of the customer.
Sean, I'll add one more thought there.
Yeah.
I think we're also going to see product data enrichment come into play here in auto and fitment as well. Most of those products started over in retail. They've moved to CPG. They're moving into B2B. They've been reluctant to tackle a tough category like this, but as they chase their growth goals, they're going to have to tackle tough categories like this. So I would expect that in the next 12 months or so as well.
Cool. And is there any other questions we have left? We have a couple minutes left here, but I do appreciate all the panelists for joining.
There's another question about just sharing some of those customer success stories that really stood out. Do you want to drop the links of those clients you spotlighted in the chat?
Yes, we can. Paul, would you be able to drop those in the chat for me? I'm presenting. But yes, we have Corbo USA, Diesel Power Products. One of our big recent successes was migrating B&W trailer hitches from their Drupal environment. It was a one-to-one migration with a very strict set of UI constraints. And their D2C is up 120%. Since January 15th. So we have a ton of stories there. And also when you book a time with us, we are a solution-based selling team. The decks are not something normally we do. So I'm sorry if I'm a little off my game on that end. But we like to go into the meat and potatoes, pull open a store, talk about how we model, how we build things, how we perceive them. I've grown up in a shop. I'd love to be able to show the solution that we can actually provide than just the idea of it. All right. I think that's it for today. We appreciate the time, everyone. Please reach out to Fyresite if you guys have any questions. I have a QR code on the screen. We're always available to kind of get on a discovery call. Nothing with us is binding. We want to earn your confidence in our skill set. We like to do our solutioning. We like to do our proof of concepts. Anytime we do a build, we are also usually trying to tackle the most difficult feature first and working backwards from there. We have a little bit different approach, but that's coming from that mechanical background. And we'd love to hear more if you guys have any unique use cases. Our modeling is very flexible around power sports, jet skis, anything that's abnormal on the automotive side. Our model is highly flexible, and we love to build new use cases around how we've done our modeling to serve those very specific and those very niche sub verticals within that overarching automotive vertical. And thank you, Jeff, Matt, and Paul. You guys all did great. I appreciate the support here today. And we'll definitely do a follow-up to one of these on the B2B side, probably in the next 3 to 4 months.